All right, y'all. Sorry I had you waiting. My son is a bit under the weather today, so I was helping him out. So, anyway, we're going to look at some more footage from Chicago ICE raids and Donald Trump on here threatening to arrest the governor and the mayor of Chicago. You know how it is. The right, they feel they can say and do whatever they want, but if you resist or you don't comply, then they want to, do harm to you because that's how they are. It's freedom of speech for them, but something else for everybody else. So anyway, it's funny because Chicago seems to be giving ICE the hardest time. Out of all the other cities were mild, even DC was mild compared to Chicago. Chicago, man, they are fighting like hell out there. They have gotten in shouting matches. You'll see all the stuff they do. But those folks, they seem to be the most bold out of everybody so far when dealing with ICE. So let's get to the videos, and you're going to see also the governor and the mayor speaking, as well as Donald Trump. All right. So let me share my screen. Okay. Give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you. Okay.
Wait. Hey, you guys came to the school, and so do they have a warrant? They haven't asked her. My name is Jocelyn from Cicero. They don't have a warrant. They do not for like, they forcibly opened the door.
It's baby.
It was locked. It was locked.
You didn't know puedes, no tiene cosa to me, man. Like, go.
He said back, bro. So big recipe, big.
Yeah, but
You might.
they came to the
What?
front of the car. They forced us out of the car. They were following us. They were on the back. Whoa.
He's so back this. We're okay.
I know I'm okay, but I'm worried about other people. Oh no.
Yeah.
They were coming to get their kid? They don't have to answer my question? Wait, what? Were they coming to get a child? I'm just a little bit confused. Is their kid still inside? Because I want to make sure that the school knows.
Silent road.
This is what I've been telling you guys all along. ICE is a trash government agency filled with racist goons and Latinos and black people who want to be white. Don't feel bad for them if anything happens to them. Shooting a pastor in the head with a pepper ball. Bro, a pure abuse of power, and they are doing nothing good for the community. They're not arresting criminals, they're arresting a bunch of people who are producing good things for the community, Latinos who have been working here for a long time. ICE is garbage. It's a garbage agency. Never ever feel bad for them. If something happens to them in the street, it would just shrug it off as whatever. These people are trash, bro. They're the worst varmint of the worst. And a lot of them are gonna go to prison. Just you wait. There's going to be a moment when all of this is going to go away and all of these people have to respond for the abuse of power and crimes that they are committing against the people of the United States. ICE is garbage. They're racist assholes. Que tengan buen día.
A lot of rank-and-file Chicago cops who say that they are outraged that they were ordered to stand down after federal agents were attacked. The communication for the stand down appears to have come from the chief of patrol himself over the communications platform with the Office of Emergency Management and Communication, reading very clearly, no units will respond to this. Multiple police sources have confirmed that that message is authentic, and it is backed up by audio of the stand-down order.
So the chief patrol for everybody else reply over there.
And 999, just to confirm, 39th place in Kessie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th place in Kessie.
Those are the order of being given.
Now, the official statement from Chicago Police Department reads, CPD responded to the scene to document the incident. CPD officers were also on the scene to maintain public safety and traffic control. It happened in Brighton Park. The scene was triggered when two individuals allegedly rammed a Border Patrol vehicle with their cars. Border Patrol agents shot the driver of one of the allegedly attacking vehicles. The drivers are now charged federally, but the incident triggered a riot. That's when the calls for help went out. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just moments ago dodged questions about whether that order tracks back to him, but he says he doubts the narrative of the Border Patrol agents.
They claimed it was defensive fire, but frankly, we cannot trust anything that comes out of the administration. We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk.
And we knew this was coming, but the Illinois Attorney General has just made it official. The state of Illinois is now suing the Trump administration, claiming that the president is using American soldiers to punish his political enemies.
This is a big win for immigrant advocates in Chicago. The ruling finding ICE is conducting illegal arrests in violation of a consent decree that limits warrantless arrests in the Chicago area of responsibility. That includes Illinois and 5 neighboring states. Collateral arrests, or people arrested while ICE is out patrolling the city, have been a major part of Operation Midway Blitz, and now a federal judge has imposed new restrictions on agents. Attorneys with the National Immigrant Justice Center in Chicago say the number of warrantless arrests in just the past 2 weeks have skyrocketed. Their case against ICE, starting with 26 people, now up to at least 200.
What we have seen now on a much larger scale is federal agents indiscriminately stopping and arresting individuals without warrants.
A family scooped up at the Bean late last month. Collateral warrantless arrest during a raid at a home in Elgin, with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem present, posting this video on social media.
He actually had his work permit to be working here legally.
Alliance father, Abella Roscoe, picked up earlier this year. ICE reports reviewed by the I-team confirming agents did not have a warrant, instead creating one after taking him into custody.
My father was the main breadwinner of the family, so having him gone, it's hard.
All examples of what U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Cummings ruled is an ongoing pattern of ICE violating the terms of a consent decree. NIJC attorneys successfully arguing agents produced no warrants, civil or criminal, for the arrests. Cummings taking particular issue with instructions to ICE agents to carry blank I-200 forms, civil immigration warrants, on their person in the field to fill them out on the spot, calling ICE's arguments it can do so lawfully meritless.
If they made a warrantless arrest, they need to justify and document the specific information.
Under the federal consent decree with ICE, to arrest someone with or without a warrant, ICE agents are required to meet 2 criteria. Is there probable cause to believe someone is in the U.S. illegally, and are they also a flight risk? ABC 7 chief legal analyst Gil Sofer says the government is likely to appeal the ruling.
Well, we'll see if it changes operations on the ground. He's certainly sending a shot across the bow, and that, if it's going to be abided by, that's going to, that's going to slow things down and really impose rigor around the process.
Immigrant advocates intensely emotional over the result.
To our Black and brown people and immigrants, it does not always seem to be that this earth wants us, but we want us, and that can be enough.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement to the I-Team, quote, DHS complies with all lawful court orders and is addressing this matter with the court. NIJC says it will seek the release of hundreds of people they claim were unlawfully arrested.
All right.
A lot to come out of that.
Just sticking with exactly what the law says, sir.
Absolutely. And we'll see what comes from DHS and how they handle this in court.
What would you say to the people who are against your operations right now when you're going and doing something like this to keep the community safe? What would you say to those people who are saying, calling you guys Gestapo, things like that as you're walking around? What would you say to them?
I think the first thing I would say is, how about you lived in the apartment next door to Trinidad Aragua members that are trafficking and prostitution, guns, drugs, and taking advantage of American citizens in a violent way? Why don't you live next to them and then see how much of a Gestapo or a Nazi we are?
What's the end game here? What's the goal?
Well, the end game tonight, obviously, is to make that area a safe place. We're going to remove all illegal aliens, especially if it's Trinidad Aragua, but any and all illegal aliens, and that's going to make this community a safer place.
Come and get me. Come and get me. And what kind of a country are we living in where the President of the United States is targeting his political opponents? I mean, that is the world that we're living in now, where he is calling out. He said he was going to jail Gavin Newsom. He says he's going to jail me. He says he's going to jail the mayor of the city of Chicago. These are people who stand against him, disagree with him, speak out about it, but literally have done nothing wrong. We are doing the people's business by standing up for them.
President Trump this morning called for you, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. What is your response?
Well, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a Black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America. And we're going to defend all of Chicago. If Congress will not check this administration, then Chicago will. Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. Our school parking lots are not for ICE to load their weapons. They are for Chicagoans who drop their kids off to learn. Our libraries are not for ICE to prepare for a raid. They're for Chicagoans to read and relax. Our parks are not for ICE to set up checkpoints. They are for Chicagoans to play and enjoy. Private establishments can partner with us to make it clear that private property is private property, and ICE cannot enter establishments without a valid warrant. Private entities may voluntarily choose to display signage to designate their property as part of a citywide network of community spaces that stand together in affirming the safety, dignity, and belonging of all of our residents. By extending this protection beyond city-owned land, the order builds a broad civic shield that limits the reach of harmful enforcement practices. It strengthens neighborhood solidarity, and it reaffirms Chicago's role as a welcoming city.
Okay. So if you haven't heard, Donald Trump is calling for Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson to be arrested because They instructed the cops not to help ICE, and they're not helping ICE. So it's causing a big friction between the Trump administration and the Illinois governor and mayor. So he already said yesterday to arrest these two. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, it's definitely a first. I don't believe they will be arrested. And I don't know if y'all heard, I heard Donald Trump had another mini stroke. You remember when I had showed y'all the video a few weeks ago of him and his mouth was drooping on one side? They're now saying that they think it's happening again. His mouth is drooping on one side, and they're saying they believe he had another mini stroke. Now, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but now my mother had 2 strokes, and I certainly do know what it looks like. So, yeah, yeah, and Donald Trump had his doctor. What was hilarious, he had his doctor say he was in good health because he wins golf tournaments. I was cracking up. I said, "That doctor," I said, "You told that doctor what to write." You know, that's what Donald Trump had his doctor write. He's in good shape. He's in good health because he wins golf tournaments. I said, I have never seen a doctor write that even for an athlete. But they're going to write that for Donald Trump. Come on, man. Mm-mm-mm. But it's still crazy in Chicago. I think Chicago is more than they can handle. Y'all all just think about this. ICE is out there right now and they are not getting paid. And so far, their toughest assignment has been Chicago. And can you imagine coming up against a bunch of people pouring in the streets all the time, everywhere you go, and you're not even getting paid to do that job because of the government shutdown? I just want to see how long these people are going to show up for work, y'all. I think the longer the government shutdown happens, these folks are going to start jumping ship. They are. Nobody's going to. And then on top of that, Donald Trump, and I did the live stream yesterday, Donald Trump said he ain't going to give them back pay. So they're on this shutdown. They got to work and there's no back pay. Oh, they're going to stop showing up. That's my prediction. They're going to stop showing up. Yeah, well, first of all, no doctor writes that. That's why I said that had to come from Donald Trump. He must be dictating to these doctors what to write about him. And remember, he said he was 6'4", 224 pounds. Now you see what Donald Trump looked. Donald Trump looked like he's tipping 300. Donald Trump looks like he's more on the 300-pound end. He don't look like no 224. A 224, 6'4" man would be slim. Okay, he would be a slim man. He would not look like Donald Trump. I said, yeah, look like he added a few inches and you say 325. Yeah, Enoch, you could be right. 325. He ain't no two anything. I believe Donald Trump is 300 plus. Well, old people do start shrinking. They do. You maybe when you were younger, you were 6'4", but at 70 something, usually you start losing inches. 5'11". Yeah. Yeah. He probably is more like 5'11". Mm-hmm. I mean, all his children are tall. Ivanka is 6 foot. Eric is 6'5". Um, Barron is 6'7". And Don Jr., I think, is the shortest out of all the siblings. I think he's like 6 feet. He's about the same height as Ivanka. Mm-hmm. His head alone is 40 pounds. A trip. Y'all know them folks be coming to my comment section. Y'all be hurting their feelings. You should see them writing me. You're so mean in this comment. Y'all be hurting their feelings for real. You know I don't care. You know I don't care. Well, this place is going to be divided. We're in the final days. We knew all this infighting, and the Republican Party and Democrat no longer on speaking terms. So it's no telling how long the government's going to be shut down. But they even said again today, this is going to be a long one. I do feel sorry for the people that work for the government because, they're going to definitely fall behind on their bills, their mortgage, their rent. And if you don't give them back pay, they're never going to be able to catch up. And that's what Donald Trump is talking about doing. But they said there is a law. In fact, the law was put in place when Donald Trump was in his first term that said that the government, federal workers would get back pay if there's a shutdown. Now he's trying to rescind all of that and say, no, they're not entitled to that. Unbelievable. Well, y'all, I'm going to conclude, but please come back for the next one. At 6 o'clock, I'm going to be talking about Elon Musk and his Starlink satellites have been falling out of the sky at an alarming rate. They said, kid you not, there's 8,000 Starlink satellites in outer space, and they are saying 2 satellites per day have been dropping from the sky, which is really dangerous. Somebody could get killed, and I got footage of a whole string of them falling out the sky all together. So you're going to see this. It's a whole bunch of them. They said, I think like more than 10 dropped out of the sky, and they were in a straight line coming back down to earth. So this is going to be real interesting. So that's going to be at 6 o'clock. So I hope to see all of you then. Shalom, family.